Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Today's project is this card, and it's called the Impossible card. I think I made one of these way back in 2018, but I just can't find it anywhere. So I'm revisiting it using the Pretty Perennials bundle. I originally made it 5 inches by 7 inches, but unfortunately there isn't an envelope to fit it. So I have resized it for the video, and I'm making it in 5 3/4 inches by 4 inches so that you can easily fold it back and pop it in an envelope to send. This is the front of the card, and I've put a plain bit at the back so you can write who it's from and also the addressee's name. These are the items you'll need. There's the Pretty Perennials stamp set, which is bundled with the Perennial Petals dies. So I'm using quite a few of the die elements. So it's the big, medium and small flower. I've already pre-stamped and die cut them in advance just to save time. So we'll need the coordinating ones in Whisper White, and also 2 Whisper White leaves and 4 leaves from this open work leaf die, and also a flower centre in the petal pink. I've stamped that in grey granite and fussy cut it out. The cardstock we need is petal pink. This will be the base, and it's been cut at 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. Now this card is just a flat piece like that, and the magic happens is just by strategic cutting and scoring. You put this away from you, and then that's where the magic happens. It's the Impossible card. With one twist it completely changes the card. So this is how you score it and cut it. First I'm going to find the center point, which is the 2 inches. I'm going to line it on the short side at the 2 inch mark, and I'm going to score from 1 1/4 inches, I think it is. Let me measure that again. Yes, 1 1/4 inches down to 4 1/2. So that's 1 1/4 here, and score it down to 4 1/2 inches. Rotate the cardstock clockwise and align this at the 1 1/4 inch mark, and then cut from 2 inches down to the end. Alright, then slide the cardstock so that this is at the 1 1/4 inch mark to the right of the cutting groove. Line up your cutting blade at the 2 inch mark and then cut down. So now you have that sort of shape. Okay, so with the long side at the top, now you want to measure 2 7/8, line it at that mark there, and then cut from the score line at 2 inches up to the top, just like so. Then to get that quirky impossible fold, you just simply flip it away from you, fold that side forward and that side back, and then you get your pop-up easel. Now we're going to cut the matte layer in soft sea foam, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So let's bring in the trimmer, move the scoring blade away, align that at 1 3/4 inches, and we want to cut from 1 inch, which is here, down to 4¼ inches. Okay, then rotate your cardstock clockwise and align the left edge to the left of the cutting groove at 1 inch. Bring your blade up to the 1¾ inch mark, drop it into place and cut to the end. Okay, then slide that and have the right edge at the 1 inch mark here to the right of the cutting groove. Slide your blade up to 1¾ inches, drop your blade in and cut to the end. Don't throw that piece away because it will come in useful for matting this bit here. Then with the long side at the top and the cut ends at the bottom, align that at 2 5/8 inches, which is just a notch, 2 notches away from the 1/2 inch mark, and cut up, and then you've got your 2 matte layers. So that will go this side and that one will go on the left side. Now you can't really use the same method to cut your pattern paper for these bits here, because when you cut it, it will be like this. But don't forget, your cardstock has been flipped to one side, so therefore if you cut it like that, then one pattern will be this, and then on the reverse it will be this side. So you'd want 2 pieces of designer series paper cut at 2 3/8 by 3½. So pop that on so that there's a little border around there, and then draw a line, trace round it. Okay, and do them individually. Use the big scissors, and then you just want to cut 1/8 inch or just a tad in from there. Just cut it by hand, it's much easier. So that's that one there. And then this one, you want it coming this way. So again, trace round it. Then match that up so that you're cutting it both at the same width. So don't forget, this is the flip side, because look, you've flipped it, okay? So this is in the opposite direction. So when you are cutting it, you've got to cut it so that this bit, the thicker bit, is on the right side. That's why you've got to do them separately. But I'm going to use the fail-safe method and use my basic white cardstock. So this is being cut at 4 3/4 by 3½ inches. So I'm going to align this with the long side at the top at the 3/4 inch mark. Pop my blade in at 1½ inches. Okay, then cut down to the end. Slide it along and then align it at 3/4 inches here. Slide my blade up to 1½ inches and cut down to the end. Now flip it over to the short side by turning it a 1/4 turn anti-clockwise and align it at 1½ inches. And cut between these 2 cut lines. So from 3/4 inches down to 4 inches. Now keep this bit, we'll need it later, and then align this at 2 3/8, which is just shy of the 1/2 inch mark. And then, so the beauty of using plain cardstock is then you can turn it over to whichever way you need. So if it's this bit you need here, then this one you can turn and reverse it, and it doesn't matter. I'm going to bring in my foam mat and do some stamping. So I'm going to leave my cardstock like this. Then I know which way round it goes. So the colours I'm using are Petal Pink, So Saffron, Soft Sea Foam, Pool Party and Grey Granite. So I'm going to start with the largest flower first. I'm changing inks to this one here. Now this is called two-step stamping, so I'll stamp it here so you can see, and then you use the soft sea foam, and this is the stem, so that you line up the two prongs there underneath the two flowers at the top. Can you see that? So there's two stems there and then the 4 here. So I'll swap inks to the soft sea foam. Now change stamps, and this time Petal Pink. Back to my soft sea foam, and I'm going to stamp some leaves. Now we can glue this onto the matte layer. And I'm going to use a bone folder to neaten the edges here. Trim that down a little bit, just 1/8 of an inch. Do the same with the Whisper White piece. Just a little bit more stamping to do here. Change ink pads, and I'm going to stamp this leaf. Bring in my Stamparatus. Now the reason I've brought in a Stamparatus is so that I can butt this into the corner and make sure that this is straight. So the bridging pieces, you need 2 Petal Pink, and this has been cut at 3/4 inches by 4 1/2, and the soft sea foam one has been cut at 1/2 inch by 4 1/4. So we'll glue this on. So I turn this upside down and pop it onto my paper to see where to put the adhesive. So I'm just using Tombow glue, and I don't want to have any glue on this section here. So if I turn it upside down, then I can see where to apply the adhesive. Next I can glue this piece onto the back and this piece to the front. Bring back my tin full of the pre-die cuts. I've already put some dimensionals on here, so just remove the backing slips and glue it onto the front of the card. Then I want to zhuzh these up, so I'm just going to bend them a little bit and use glue dots to attach them to the card front. and I want to make sure it's free from the easel, okay, and not to cover the sentiment. Now I'm going to speed this up as I attach the flowers. I'm going to soften this large flower and use a bone folder to just curl the petals a little bit. The other items you need are gilded gems, so I'm going to put a large one on here. So one last thing to do is to stamp just the birthday. And then just trim it off. Put dimensionals on the back. And pop this underneath, like so. And there's the card complete. So that's my original and that's the reverse. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. If you do like it, then give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then do subscribe. All the links to the supplies I used are below this video in the show more section, or you can read more about it over on my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back soon with more inspiration. Bye!